In a quiet residential neighborhood just outside Boston, Caitlin Johnson lived with her husband Michael and their 6-year-old daughter Emily. Caitlin worked as a nurse at the local children's hospital, where her gentle smile and attentive care earned the trust of patients and their families. Despite her long, exhausting days that often stretched from early morning until late at night, she treasured time with her family above all else. Her husband Michael was a police officer who took deep pride in his work protecting the safety of the community. His tall, muscular build reflected the physical demands of his job, but at home, he revealed a softer side, the devoted father who read bedtime stories to his daughter even after grueling night shifts. No matter how tired he was, he always helped Emily with her homework when she came home from school, and their weekend tradition of playing catch in the park never faltered. To Caitlin, Michael was not only a dependable partner, but also a trusted friend she could confide in about anything. Their beloved daughter, Emily, was a curious and energetic child. She had inherited her mother's kindness and her father's strong sense of justice, and at school, she was known as someone who cared deeply about her friends. Recently, she had become passionate about piano lessons, practicing every day without fail, and delighting in performing newly learned pieces for her parents. Watching her daughter grow, Caitlin felt as though she was learning something new about motherhood with each passing day. Caitlin's sister Jennifer was famous within the family for her exceptional cooking. Her homemade cakes and cookies were especially beloved, and she never arrived at a family gathering without bringing something she had baked herself. The sisters shared a close relationship, calling each other several times a week to exchange updates and leaning on one another whenever advice was needed. Jennifer's husband, David, was a gentle, honest man, and it was obvious to everyone how deeply he cherished his wife. They had 2 children, 8-year-old Tommy and Sophia, who was celebrating her 6th birthday today. David adored his children, and on weekends, the family often went hiking together or enjoyed barbecues in their backyard. The 2 families spent nearly every weekend together, sometimes at Caitlin's house, sometimes at Jennifer's. The adults would catch up while the children played, forming the easy bonds of loving cousins. Emily and Sophia, close in age, were especially inseparable. They played with dolls together, chased each other around the yard, and even when small arguments flared up, they would quickly make up and burst into laughter again. For Caitlin, these family moments were irreplaceable treasures. The exhaustion from her demanding hospital job would fade away the moment she saw her family's smiling faces. For Michael, too, this warm circle of family was the only place where he could escape the constant tension of his dangerous work. On Saturday morning, the sweet aroma of fresh pancakes filled the Johnson family kitchen. Caitlin smiled as she watched Emily and Michael sitting at the counter while she expertly flipped pancakes in the pan. Emily, still in her pajamas, swung her legs back and forth as she enthusiastically told her father about the dream she'd had the night before. "And then, Daddy, I became a princess and lived in a big castle. A dragon came, but I wasn't scared at all." Michael listened, gently stroking his daughter's hair. "So what did Princess Emily do with the dragon?" "I became friends with him," Emily replied proudly. "The dragon was just lonely, that's all." Listening to them, Caitlin felt once again how blessed their family was. During the week, work kept them so busy that they rarely had time to enjoy a slow breakfast together. Michael often worked night shifts, so the 3 of them eating together usually only happened on weekends, making these simple moments feel especially precious. "Today is Sophia's birthday," Caitlin said, as she poured maple syrup over the pancakes. "What time are we supposed to go to Jennifer's house?" Michael glanced up from his coffee. "She said around 2 this afternoon. If we leave around 1:30, that should be perfect. We need to buy presents before then." Caitlin checked the clock. "Emily, have you decided what you want to give Sophia?" Emily thought seriously for a moment. "Sophia likes dolls, so maybe a new doll would be good. But when we went to the bookstore last time, she saw a really pretty picture book and said, 'I want that.'" "Which would be better?" Michael asked with a smile. "Why don't we buy both?" Emily's face lit up. "Really?" "Yay!" she shouted, jumping up from her chair. After breakfast, the family headed to the downtown shopping mall. Being a weekend morning, the parking lot was already crowded. In the toy section, Emily carefully considered her options, torn between a blonde doll in a pink dress and a dark-haired doll in a blue dress. Finally, she decided firmly, "I want one with brown hair, like Sophia's." At the bookstore, they found the picture book Emily had pointed out in the children's section. It was titled, "The Magical Forest Animals," filled with vibrant illustrations. As Caitlin flipped through the pages, she discovered it was a heartwarming story about forest animals working together to overcome difficulties. "I'm sure Sophia will love this," Caitlin said with a smile. While they waited for the presents to be wrapped, Michael brought over coffee from a nearby cafe. Sitting together on a bench, Emily happily imagined Sophia's reaction. "I wonder what kind of cake there will be at Sophia's birthday party," she asked eagerly. "Aunt Jennifer's homemade cake, of course," Caitlin replied. "I'm sure she's made something wonderful." Jennifer's homemade cakes were legendary in the family, especially for children's birthdays. She always created elaborate, beautifully decorated cakes. For Sophia's birthday the previous year, she had made one covered in pink buttercream roses that looked like it had come straight from a professional bakery. After returning home, Caitlin selected a bottle of wine to bring as a gift, while Michael checked the car. In her room, Emily practiced singing Happy Birthday to Sophia as she got dressed. Her small, earnest voice floated down the hallway, making Caitlin smile without even realizing it. Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the prepared family got into their car. Jennifer's house was about a 20-minute drive away. Emily sat in the back seat, carefully holding the gift bag while watching the scenery glide past the window. "Daddy, that's the park where we all had a picnic together, isn't it?" Emily asked, pointing excitedly. "That's right," Michael replied as he drove. "It was such a beautiful day. You and Tommy played frisbee for hours." Caitlin turned around from the passenger seat to look at her daughter. "This summer vacation, let's go camping with the whole family again." "Really? Yay!" Emily's eyes sparkled. "Last year was so fun, swimming in the lake and roasting marshmallows over the campfire at night." As the car climbed the gentle slopes of the residential neighborhood, houses with neatly kept gardens lined both sides of the road, wrapped in the peaceful atmosphere of a weekend afternoon. People were watering their lawns, washing cars, and children rode bicycles along the sidewalks. "We're almost at Jennifer's house," Caitlin said, recognizing the familiar street corner. As they turned the corner, they saw several cars already parked in front of the house. It looked like David's parents had been invited as well. Colorful balloons decorated the yard. "Oh, there's Sophia!" Emily leaned forward and waved excitedly when she spotted her cousin, playing with other children near the front entrance. Michael carefully parked the car. When he turned off the engine, they could hear the joyful laughter of children drifting over from the yard. Caitlin picked up the gift bag and the wine, and the family stepped out of the car together. Hand in hand, they walked toward the front door. At the entrance, Sophia was playing with her friends and her brother Tommy. Dressed in a new pink dress, having just turned 6, she shone as the star of the day. The moment Emily got out of the car, she ran toward Sophia, clutching the present bag. "Sophia, happy birthday!" Emily shouted. "Emily, you came!" Sophia replied, just as excited, and the two girls hugged tightly. Jennifer came out of the front door to greet them. She was wearing an apron, evidence of how busy she had been preparing food. But her face was glowing with satisfaction. "Caitlin, Michael, thank you for coming. Perfect timing," she said warmly. "I'm just putting the finishing touches on everything." Caitlin handed her the wine. "Is there anything I can help with?" "It's fine. Almost everything's ready," Jennifer replied. "David is preparing the barbecue in the backyard. Michael, would you mind helping him?" Michael gladly agreed and headed to the backyard, where David was already lighting the grill. The two men waved and greeted each other. The children ran around the yard while the adults each settled into their roles. Inside the house, colorful decorations filled the space. A banner reading, "Happy 6th birthday, Sophia," hung in the living room, and the table was beautifully set with dishes. Caitlin admired her sister's attention to detail. Jennifer, the decorations are really lovely. Sophia must be so happy. Thank you, Jennifer replied proudly. It took me until late last night, but seeing my daughter's happy face makes all the fatigue disappear. The afternoon passed peacefully. When David's parents arrived, the yard grew even livelier with children's laughter and adult conversations. Once the hamburgers and hot dogs were ready, everyone gathered around the table. Sophia looked absolutely delighted, surrounded by family and friends. After the meal, it was finally time for presents. Sophia carefully opened each gift, thanking everyone in turn. When she opened the doll Emily had chosen, her expression was especially radiant. "She has the same hair color as me," Sophia exclaimed. "How did you know?" She was just as thrilled with the picture book, promising, "I'll have Mommy read this to me tonight." Then Jennifer's homemade cake made its appearance. This year's design featured a rainbow theme, with 7 beautifully colored layers stacked together. 6 candles were placed on top, and everyone sang happy birthday. Sophia closed her eyes to make a wish before blowing out all the candles in a single breath. "What did you wish for?" Tommy asked curiously. "It's a secret," Sophia replied with a smile. "If I tell you, it won't come true." As they ate cake, the adults chatted about the children's growth. Caitlin shared stories from the hospital. Michael talked about community safety. David discussed his recent work, and Jennifer updated everyone on the children's school activities. It was a peaceful, happy family gathering. Around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Caitlin's phone rang. When she glanced at the caller ID, she saw it was Michael. Confused, because he was standing just a short distance away in the backyard, she answered anyway. "Hello? Michael? You're in the backyard right now." What came through the phone was Michael's voice, more urgent than she had ever heard it. "Kate, where are you right now?" The tone was so abnormal that Caitlin instantly knew something was wrong. "I'm at my sister's house. The whole family is here. What's going on?" "Listen to me carefully," Michael said. "Take our daughter and get out of that house immediately." Her heart began pounding violently. "Why? What happened?" "Just do it now. Don't ask questions. Take Emily and leave the house immediately." Caitlin could hear both the authority of a police officer and the desperation of a father in his voice. "Michael, where are you? You were just in the backyard." "I'm at the station now. It's an emergency. I'll explain later. Just take Emily and get out. And don't go near David." Those last words made Caitlin's blood run cold. She didn't understand what he meant, but the urgency in his voice left no room for doubt. "Okay," she whispered. "I'm leaving right now." After hanging up, Caitlin looked around. Emily was still playing with Sophia in the yard, and the adults continued their cheerful conversations, unaware of her distress. Her heart pounded as she tried to figure out how to leave without drawing attention. "Emily, come here for a moment," Caitlin called, forcing a smile. "What, Mommy? I still want to play," Emily said, disappointed. "Daddy called," Caitlin said softly. "Something urgent came up, so we need to go home right away." Jennifer approached, concern in her eyes. "What happened? Is everything okay?" Caitlin hesitated, Michael's warning echoing in her mind. David was only a few meters away, chatting casually with other adults, showing no sign of danger. "Something urgent came up with work," Caitlin said quickly. "I'm really sorry, Jennifer. It was such a lovely party." "Don't apologize," Jennifer replied. "It's okay. Let's get together again soon." Emily, clearly disappointed, sensed her mother's tension and followed obediently. Caitlin grabbed the gift bag and her handbag, took her daughter's hand, and started toward the front door. "Sophia, happy birthday," Caitlin said, her voice trembling. "It was a wonderful day." As they walked away, David called out, "Are you leaving already? It's still early." Caitlin couldn't bring herself to look at him. His voice, which would normally have been comforting, now sounded frightening. "Something urgent came up," she replied briefly, hurrying away. As they walked toward the car, Emily looked up at her mother, confused. "Mommy, why are you in such a hurry? What happened to Daddy?" "It's okay, Emily," Caitlin said, trying to keep her voice steady. Daddy is safe. We just need to see him right away. She got into the driver's seat and turned the key in the ignition. Nothing happened. She tried again, her grip tightening, but the engine didn't respond. A third attempt brought the same result. "Mommy, why won't the car start?" Emily asked anxiously from the back seat. "It's okay," Caitlin replied, forcing calm into her voice even as she felt panic rising. "The car is just having a little trouble." She stepped out to take a look, and what she saw made her breath catch in her throat. All 4 tires were completely flat. Clear marks showed they had been deliberately punctured with something sharp. The color drained from her face. This wasn't an accident. Someone had intentionally disabled her car. Michael's warning echoed in her mind. Don't go near David. Could it really be David? But he had been with everyone throughout the party. When would he have had time to do something like this? Her hands shaking, Caitlin pulled out her phone and called Michael. He answered after the first ring. "Kate, are you okay?" "Michael," she said, her voice trembling. "All the tires are flat. Someone did it on purpose. What should I do?" "Damn it," Michael muttered, his anger and fear clear. "Get away from there right now. Walk if you have to. Just get away from the house. Take Emily and run. I'm coming to get you. I'm in a patrol car and I'll be there in 5 minutes." Caitlin returned to the car and turned to her daughter. "Emily, Daddy is coming to pick us up, so we're going to walk a little, okay?" "Why do we have to walk? Why won't the car work?" Emily asked, clearly confused. "The car broke down," Caitlin said gently. "But it's okay. Daddy will be here soon." She took Emily's hand, and they began walking away from the house. After only a few steps, Caitlin heard sirens in the distance. True to his word, Michael was racing toward them. When the patrol car appeared around the corner at high speed, Caitlin's knees nearly gave out with relief. Michael jumped out of the car and rushed toward them. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" he asked, pulling both his wife and daughter into his arms. "We're fine," Caitlin said, still shaking. "But Michael, what is going on? Why is David dangerous?" Michael glanced around, then lowered his voice. "Let's talk in the car. It's not safe here." The 3 of them got into the patrol car. Emily sat on her father's lap in the back seat, still unable to fully understand what was happening. "Today, while I was checking the sex offender database at the station," Michael began, his voice heavy, "I found David's name." Caitlin felt as if the air had been knocked out of her lungs. 10 years ago, he was imprisoned for sexually assaulting a child, Michael continued. He served 3 years in prison and is currently on probation. Caitlin was speechless. "David? But he's married to Jennifer. He has children." "I didn't want to believe it either," Michael said, "but the records are unmistakable. That's why I called you so urgently. I couldn't risk putting Emily in danger." Images flooded Caitlin's mind. David playing with the children, smiling lovingly at Sophia and Tommy. Had it all been an act? "And the flat tires?" Caitlin asked weakly. "Probably to stop you from leaving," Michael said, then hesitated. "But there might be another explanation." Just then, Michael's radio crackled to life. A colleague's voice came through. "Michael, we have new information. A neighbor reported seeing teenage boys causing mischief in that area around 3 this afternoon." Michael grabbed the radio. "Give me the details." Apparently, a local group of troublemakers has been puncturing tires on multiple cars. Your wife's car wasn't the only one damaged. Caitlin and Michael looked at each other. "So the tire punctures had nothing to do with David," Michael said slowly. "It was teenage vandalism." "Still, David's past is a fact." His expression hardened. "I need to talk to him." Michael left Caitlin and Emily in a safe location and returned alone to Jennifer's house. The party was still in full swing, and his sudden return drew surprised looks. "Michael, what happened?" Jennifer asked, alarmed. "Where are Caitlin and Emily?" "I need to speak with David privately," Michael said firmly. David followed him into the house, confusion written all over his face. Once they were alone in the living room, Michael didn't hesitate. "I know about what happened 10 years ago." David's face went pale. After a long silence, he spoke quietly. I always knew this day would come.
Why did you hide it from Jennifer? Michael demanded.
I didn't hide anything, David replied softly. I told Jennifer everything before we got married, about my past and my current situation. Michael was taken aback. She knows? He asked. She chose to believe in me, David said. For 10 years, I've been in rehabilitation programs. I receive counseling regularly. I can't erase what I did, but I'm trying to live my life again as a human being, he continued, his voice steady but strained. When it comes to children, I've set strict rules for myself. I'm never alone with them, only when Jennifer or other adults are present. I never want to repeat my past mistakes. Michael felt a swirl of conflicting emotions. I'm still worried about my daughter's safety. That's natural. David nodded. If I were in your position, I would feel the same. But please don't destroy the family I've built. Jennifer and the kids believe in me. They support me. At that moment, Jennifer entered the living room, her expression resolute. Michael, may I speak too? She asked. She sat down and looked directly at her brother-in-law. I know about David's past. He told me everything before we married. I was shocked at first, but I've watched him work to change. I chose to believe in him. Michael struggled internally. Should he accept them as family, or should he put his daughter's safety above all else? Give me time, he finally said. I need to talk this over with Caitlin. David nodded. I understand. We won't run or hide. We're ready to talk whenever you are. 3 weeks later, both families gathered in the Johnsons' living room. Unlike before, this was not a casual visit. It was a serious discussion among adults only. The children were in the next room watching a movie, and their occasional laughter drifted through the house, offering brief moments of comfort amid the heavy atmosphere. At first, Caitlin had hesitated to suggest this family meeting. Since the events of that day, her emotions had been tangled and difficult to sort through. Part of her wanted to trust David as a person she had known for years, someone who had always appeared kind and attentive. But another part of her, the part that was a mother, was gripped by an instinctive fear, a powerful need to protect her daughter at all costs. First, let's be clear about why we're here, Michael began, breaking the silence. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about deciding how we move forward as a family. David sat stiffly across from them, his expression tense. His hands trembled slightly, revealing how hard the past 3 weeks had been for him. Jennifer sat close beside her husband, occasionally reaching out to squeeze his hand, offering silent reassurance. David, Caitlin said quietly, could you tell us more about the counseling you're currently receiving? David took a deep breath before answering. Every Thursday, I meet with a specialized counselor. I also participate in group therapy twice a month. None of this is required by law anymore. It's something I choose to do. Why do you continue? Caitlin asked gently. I'm not trying to justify my past, David replied, his voice steady but heavy. What I did is unforgivable. But if I want to make sure I never repeat those mistakes, I believe I need to keep learning how to understand and control myself. Michael leaned forward. If we're going to continue our relationship as a family, I need to propose some conditions. David nodded immediately. I'll accept any conditions. First, Michael said, when it comes to contact with Emily, multiple adults must always be present. Second, you need to regularly share records of your counseling. Third, if anything concerning arises, you must contact us immediately. I accept all of that, David said without hesitation. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears as she began to speak. I believe in my husband, but I also understand everyone's concerns. I think what matters most for a family is honesty and caring for one another. Her words moved Caitlin deeply. She nodded slowly. There are no perfect families. Everyone carries something from their past. What matters is how you face it. We needed time, Caitlin continued. At first, we were shocked. We didn't know how to react. But over these 3 weeks, I've thought about many things. maybe being a family means facing difficult truths together. Tears welled up in David's eyes. Thank you. I'm grateful for your willingness to try. Michael exhaled and said, let's rebuild our relationship gradually. We'll start with short gatherings and move forward at a pace that makes everyone comfortable. The discussion lasted nearly 2 hours. There were long silences, moments of emotion, and difficult exchanges. But in the end, they reached a shared understanding. Trust would take time to fully restore, but they reaffirmed their commitment to supporting one another as a family. When the meeting ended, the children came running into the room. Emily climbed onto Caitlin's lap and asked innocently, "What were the grown-ups talking about?" "Family matters," Caitlin replied softly, stroking her daughter's hair. "Important talks about how we can all get along well together." That night, Caitlin and Michael sat together in their bedroom, the house finally quiet. "Do you think we made the right decision?" Caitlin asked. "I don't know," Michael answered honestly. "But I'm sure that running away isn't the answer. Instead of watching from a distance, we'll have to protect everyone together, balancing trust with caution." Outside the window, the quiet residential neighborhood lay still under the night sky. 3 weeks had passed since that shocking day, and the Johnson family was beginning to face a new reality. They were coming to understand both the complexity and the strength of what family truly meant. Step by step, they resolved to move forward. No family is perfect, but with compassion for one another and the courage to face difficult truths, perhaps any trial can be overcome. Holding on to that belief, Caitlin prepared herself to welcome a new tomorrow.